Welcome to the Modern CPA Success Show, where we're 100% focused on helping accounting firms achieve success. If you're an accounting firm owner who wants to learn how to provide virtual CFO services, then this podcast is for you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's podcast. Our guest today, as you can see from her background, for those that are watching our video, probably have the most creative name of any of our guests. So the name of her company is Say Yes to Profits, and her name is Octavia Conner. So I'm gonna start there. I want to hear your backstory, but I also want to hear the backstory of the name and how you came up with that. So welcome to the show, and I'd love to hear more.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. The backstory of the name. So the name of the company used to be Smart Accounting Services, but I always wanted to do more than accounting. And I never could really at the time explain that. People that would come wanted me to do their bookkeeping and taxes. That was it. So they couldn't understand why I wanted to consult with them. So I was like, I really need to change the name. And I was walking around my office and I was saying to myself, well, what do I want business owners to do? What do I want them to have? What do I want the results to be? And I was playing around with a couple of different names and it just kind of popped in my head. And I was like, I want them to say yes to profits. And I was like, say yes to profits. So I just went with that. And that's it, pretty much.
Awesome.
So all your clients say yes to profit now?
Yeah.
So they're all profitable, making lots of money, I hope. So is that kind of your focus then? Did you kind of take a shift for us? I know we kind of developed, we called it profit focused accounting. And I know there's books out there like Profit First. I think profit resonates well with everybody. That's the whole point of being in business, is to, be bigger than yourself and hopefully turn a profit and do those kind of things. But how do you help them, because you said that at first they were talking about like bookkeeping and taxes. So how are you helping them, define and get to those profits?
So great question. So one of the things I realized is that profit in the marketplace is like a buzzword. But in order to generate a profit the correct way, you need to have cash flow in your business. But at the time, I really didn't feel like cash flow was a buzzword. So one of the ways that we help our business owners is that we tell them the ultimate goal is for you to say yes to profits. But in order to say yes to profits, you have to take these baby steps. And the baby steps is making sure that your service and products are priced for profit. The baby steps are making sure that you have an excess of cash flow. And then once we put all of that in place and your service model is correct, then you can say yes to profits.
So it's about getting that mental shift in place first.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm definitely asking follow-up questions on that, because I know we talk a lot about process and in the meetings you have, but I want to hit on something you said earlier. Originally, you said, you try to have these consulting conversations with your clients and they would look at you sideways. They'd be like, what are you doing? This isn't your job. And then how long did it take you to make that shift to the point where your clients were coming to you for that and you had a lot of clients knocking on your door looking for that?
So I had to reposition myself. So I went through a rebranding process, whereas before I've been doing marketing videos for several years. And I was only at the time just discussing bookkeeping and how to keep your books in order and things like that. So what I did, I started to provide actual strategies on financial management and cash flow and profits. So then when someone would want to speak with me, that is what I would talk about. And I would actually tell them the bookkeeping, that's a byproduct. That's the small amount, that's the foundation. But our main goal is to help you in this area. And after a while, of course, you have some people that still wanted just bookkeeping. And after a while, I had to be bold enough to tell them that that's not all that we do. And if that is what they're looking for, we're not the company for them. But it took some time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Early on, I think that rings true to most folks in the space. You take just, anybody that'll pay you, right? And then you try to make people that you knew probably right out of the gate weren't the ideal client, try to, mold them into that, and it just never works out. So it's really great whenever you get to an opportunity where you can do that. And just kind of shameless plug for the VCFO course. I know, you've been in there, a great voice. I mean, what are some of the things that you're doing now, or is there anything really that the course has helped you kind of craft or think about a little bit different in terms of your delivery?
Yes, and I actually plan to do a video testimony for the course because I've had a couple of accountants reach out to me. I guess they knew or know that I'm in the course and they wanted to get the results of it. But the software that you all have introduced my firm to have enabled us to provide virtual CFO services seamless. So before we were using a lot of spreadsheets, if one person does something wrong to the formula, it can knock the entire spreadsheet out. So then I would have to spend days going back and fixing it. And it was just a headache. And the course has allowed us to find different softwares that when we now conduct financial sessions with our clients, it's so easy. Like it takes us, whereas before it'd take us like a day or two to prepare for the meeting. Now I could probably do it like within the 2 hours before the meeting and have everything good to go. So that's one of the greatest benefits of the course. And another great benefit, I love the fact that we do the fireside chats and you all are so open and willing to just share information. You all just I feel like you kind of just give the information away, and it has helped so much because I ask a lot of questions. I feel like I do anyway.
This is great.
So I love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is the more of us, I think, that are out there speaking about profits and not necessarily disregarding bookkeeping, because we all know garbage in, garbage out. So we don't mind picking up that work if we need to, but really emphasizing, that they should be looking at us as consultants, because so many times whenever you get to your CPA, they only think, okay, help me save a few bucks in taxes, or, count what I did last month. That's really all. And then they'll go and they'll pay somebody that's just kind of a fly by night, albeit maybe great, comes with a binder that's a foot deep and weighs 30 pounds and says, hey, this is what you should do. And this is why. And then they just kind of, fly away. And we're like, wait a minute, like, we know all about you and have been working with you for like 4 or 5 years. We can help you do that. So yeah, really the inspiration and enjoyed hearing a little bit about that. The reason why we are such an open book is because we do think, the future of accounting is really just having so many more of us out there that, clients just demand it, and I think they're starting to finally, which is nice.
Yes, I think so too. I now have clients that they want to know if we're providing. Well, now they know since we've kind of been around for a while, but before they really wanted to know at some point, are we truly providing consulting services based on their finances, or are they just going to receive a financial binder or a financial report each month? And truly, they really still don't know what to do with it. It just looks like a piece of paper with numbers on it. So I think the more that more accountants adapt to the advisory part of the business, I think it would be great for the small business industry.
Yeah, definitely. I always tell this story, but when I worked in big industry before coming to Summit, and the companies I worked at had a 20-person finance department and a 15-person accounting department. Whenever they had a question, they knew where to go. They would hop in our office and just say, okay, let's run this out. What happens if we do this? What's it going to look like for our business? And at the time I was like, what does the $2 million mom and pop shop have to make these decisions for themselves? So I do think it's definitely the future of the industry, which is why I'm glad that we have offered the course and help the small businesses out there. So my next question for you is I think one of the biggest challenges in this space is what we call the silver bullet effect. We always talk about how every meeting you feel like you have to bring great advice to, or you have to come in and have the best meeting ever. So I'm curious, do you feel that way? Like you have to, every meeting you have with your clients, you have to bring this awesome tip that's going to change their life? Or if you don't feel that way, how have you prevented yourself from falling into that trap?
To be honest, before I enrolled in the course, I felt that way. But I can't remember if it was a fireside chat or I was watching a video, but Adam, you mentioned on the video that you start with like a general question, how has sales been? How has the business been? And then you let it flow from there. And that's what I started doing as well. So I'll have some information, but I don't feel like I just have to have 5 strategies for you to implement right now. It's just a conversation. And what I realize is that my clients, they love that because sometimes we're just talking about the challenges in their business and I'm giving them advice about that. And then we've come to an hour or so and they're like, okay, we're done, but they feel like they've received guidance.
Yeah, oftentimes it's just someone to talk to, right? I say that another example of my former life was you kind of always saw the CEO and the CFO walking down the halls together. Like that's our goal is, again, even if we're talking not necessarily finance stuff, just to have someone to talk to. And I think that really is key, is to have someone to talk to that cares about your business and knows about your business. And sometimes it's crazy where those conversations go. And like to Adam's point that he said in the video is it's really just about having those good questions that will lead to, figuring out what's going on in their business. So that definitely helps that approach.
Yeah, good rumblers always help. Sometimes I freak them out and, I'll go in there and be like, what the heck happened last month? And he'll be like, what do you mean? And then, I'll be like, you did awesome. And they're like, oh yeah, blah, 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 and then, just kind of go. And then, yeah, that'll start a 15-20 minute conversation all in its own right. You'll learn about other stuff. But I think that's the important other lesson too, is like, just not to stay in the numbers too long. People will tune you out. So you really got to focus high level just on the conversation and about the business. And then, of course, through a financial lens, right? That's what we do. So we have the numbers to be able to speak to and back up what we're saying. But if you don't do that, then that's kind of tough. I mean, obviously, you've nailed the marketing. Again, love the background and like the idea is awesome. I don't see the trademark on there, so I guess we can start using that too. I don't see the sign.
I have it.
It's pending.
Yeah, I have it. This is an old banner, so I haven't updated, but our trademark just came through, I think, in January. I'm so excited.
All right. Well, we can officially show the video then. Nobody can have it. But have you found the need or the want to like find a niche and really kind of focus in, or are you still pretty much staying kind of industry agnostic and kind of a broad stroke?
Well, I've always struggled with picking a niche because I feel like I can help everyone. But I, as of the last about year, I've been focusing heavily on consulting firms, and not really any specific one, but just consulting firms, service-based consulting firms. And that has worked really well for us so far. So I think I'll stay on that path because it makes me feel comfortable enough to say that there are enough business owners in that industry and not just boil it down to just one particular industry. I don't know if that makes sense, but I've always struggled with picking a niche.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty normal. I mean, for us, I mean, and sometimes it happens accidentally, right? You're going to find somebody that you just really enjoy working with. You're interested about the industry and you just want to learn more about it, and you just naturally kind of understand it. And maybe that's you for the consulting firms. And I would agree with you. I'm always like, oh, but, and it really does. I mean, honestly, like the service, the VCFO service to small businesses, it does apply to every industry. It's just a matter of, can you be the master of every industry? And that's really sometimes, and that's been a learning lump for us, and especially me. I think I can fix everybody, and you're right, I think I can help everybody. And then you get in and you're like, I'm just apparently not that person for that industry. You know what I mean? Because either the client was challenging or the circumstance, that you really needed to be on site, or they just needed way more of sometimes they just need to hire internally. So I think that's definitely been been tough. So just hang in there, and you'll find one or two or three, and we take everybody. We really do, because for us, I'm not going to say we're industry agnostic, because we obviously niche down pretty heavy, but it's almost like the client profile is just as important. Somebody that's tech savvy and open-minded.
Yes. I did do that. I did the client profile, actually have it here on my wall. And I asked them questions that will determine if they fit the client profile. And then if they do, and the discovery session is like great and our energy, we're syncing together, then I'm open to at least trying it. If they're open to trying it, if they're not a consulting firm.
Yeah, you should see some of the clients that Adams brings my way. He's like, hey, I got this great client. Here's what it's going to take. And I'm like, so we're going to put a full-time CFO in that client, Adam, or what? So like, yeah, Adam definitely has a little bit of that in him where he can fix everybody. So
they're all great people, and it's fun. And sometimes those challenges are cool, and you learn a lot of cool stuff from them. But yes, the rest of the team might want to kill you if you. But I think you made a good point in something that I do sometimes that I think that clients really love to hear is sometimes I flip the script and I make it about me for a minute. I say, well, what I look for is this and this and this. And if you're not that person, you really don't want to work with me. You know what I mean? And then I'll even take it a step further, and I'll put it back on them in terms of the time commitment. I'll be like, you have to meet with me, once a week doing this and this. And if you don't do that, total waste of your money, like don't even bother. And they're like, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't say I wouldn't meet with you. Like, that sounds like no big deal. So just even that psychology on the sales pitch seems to almost like draw them closer to you. They're just like, no, I want this, so.
And I do that as well. I tell them, I say, you have to meet with us at least once a month. And if you don't meet with us once a month, then we reserve the right to basically end the agreement. And I remember having one client, and she was like, I just don't have the time. And I did the exact same thing. I said, well, we're probably not the firm for you. And she said, well, no, Octavia, I really, really want to work with you. That client has not missed one meeting at all.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's important for sure to have that meeting time and have that space where you can chat with them. So I think that is really important. Can you tell us a little bit about those meetings? I'd love to hear what you're talking about. Is it just financial statements, or is it, like Adam said, the question, or are you talking forecasts? I'm just kind of curious about your meeting cadence and what your goals are with those meetings.
So I actually kind of adapted some of the cadence from the course, and then I always try to put my little spin on it. But I usually start by asking them, how has business been? How has sales been? What are some things that you've done really well? And what are some things that you did not do really well, so that we can fix those? I'll start like that, and I'll just let them talk. And then we'll go into, depending on what we're meeting about, we may start discussing the past. But I always tell my clients during every meeting, we are not going to stay stuck on the past. It has happened. Let's learn from it and move on. So we'll talk about that. And I will sometimes, for some of my clients that's long-winded, I'll time it. Like when they start talking, I'll tell them the timer is going, and when it dings, we have to move on. And then we will always forecast. We always look towards the future. And then one of the things that I do with all of my clients when they first start is that we map out a plan for the next 12 months. So I always like to track, where are you versus where you should be, and how do we bridge the gap between those two places? By the time we do that, the meeting is over for the moment.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know. So what's a tip you could give somebody that's listening that is thinking about, kind of doing what we do? Like what's one of those learning lumps, or one of those little secrets you could give away?
Well, I would say first, have confidence. I think it takes a lot of confidence to be a financial advisor, to tell someone what to do with their money. I think that takes a lot of confidence. And then I guess after that, I would say have your systems in place, because it's not just bookkeeping. you are financially advising someone. And then if you are doing the bookkeeping as well, that has to be in order for you to provide, I feel like, in-depth financial expertise. So you want to have your back office in order.
Those are great tips. Yeah, no, I think that definitely makes sense. Obviously, we've heard on this podcast before. I'm the systems guy, so I love you talking about having the processes in place because I think that is important. And like you said, I love the way you approach each of the meetings and really having a walking away with the plan versus the forecast. I think that's something that it took us a while to get there, Adam. I mean, we talked a lot about budget, we talked a lot about forecast, but to revisit that plan and doing that up front. Can you go a little bit more into your onboarding with clients? So when you take on a brand new client, what is the steps it takes to get them into your systems and to get them into your software and tools, and how do you approach that?
Well, the first thing, they have to complete the client enrollment form, of course, so that we can get information from them. And then once they complete the form, they are assigned a bookkeeper. And the bookkeeper, their sole purpose is to make sure that their accounting system is up to date. And once we have that approval, if we're doing forecasting for them, we will then import that into the forecasting system that we use. And I will then go, because right now I'm the virtual CFO for everyone. So I would then look at the historicals and I would map out ideally where I think the client is going to go within the next 12 months. And then we schedule the planning meeting, and the meeting is usually about 3 hours, give or take, where we sit down and I tell them, after I ask them several questions. And the one thing I tell my clients is that I am going to get all in your business. So just be prepared. And I'm going to ask you some questions that you're probably not going to want to answer, but this is a no judgment zone. And then I proceed to get all in their business. And I just ask them financial questions, personal and business related, because they are congruent. And we map out this plan for the next 12 months. And that's pretty much it.
Wow,
that's it, huh?
Impressed. Yeah, a 3-hour meeting. Wow, that's impressive. You definitely are confident in what we were doing here.
I love it. I absolutely love it. But we take breaks in between. So we'll take a break, and then they're virtual. So I'll actually order food to be delivered to wherever they are, and we just make it a financial day almost.
That's a great
pretty
idea.
cool. Yeah, no, that's pretty inventive and cool for sure.
So we're getting a little close on time here. So I'm gonna throw our email address out there. Obviously we love having great guests like Octavia on here, and we also want to answer people's questions. I know a lot of people are probably interested in the course we're talking about here, or interested in just one topic maybe we talked about. So we'd love to have an email from you. Just shoot us an email over, and the email address is cpa@summitcpa.net. Again, cpa@summitcpa.net. So now that the email address is out there, Octavia, I'm going to give you one last chance. Final thoughts for our listeners of things they need to know in order to have the success that you're having.
I would say first thing, take the course, enroll in the course. I think that is number one. And number two, just do it. Just go and just start and learn from your mistakes.
Adam just sent you a Venmo for plugging the course, so he appreciates that. So
yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Adam, any final thoughts from you?
No, I just to memorialize it, just to push it off on something we would do for a client. Octavia, what does Octavia look like 5 years from now? What does Say Yes to Profits look like? Have you thought that far ahead for yourself?
Yes, I'm looking on my board in front of me, and Say Yes to Profits has about 10 to 15 team members. And we are a internationally known company. And I think that's about as far as I got.
That's awesome. No, that's good. I mean, so many times we forget to do that kind of stuff for ourselves. So it's cool to hear that you do have it on the board, and just like we tell the clients, you write it down, it happens. So got to remember to do it for ourselves.
So I'm going to want to have you back on this podcast. And I think when I'm going to want to have you back on is when you hire that next CFO. So I think that's a very challenging time, is to find the next Octavia and how that's going to work. So I promise you we'll have you back on, and make sure you reach out to me when that happens, because I want to hear about that experience and kind of the how it worked for you.
I sure will, because that makes me nervous to let that part go. I feel like that part is my baby. I just love meeting with clients and advising them. So to let it go and to have an Octavia number 2, I think that's going to be a challenge. I'm going to do it when the time comes, but
you will definitely do it.
Yeah. Let us know, because we'd love to hear about how it goes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining the show. You did a great job. I think our listeners are going to love this one. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yep. Take care. Thanks.
Bye.
Enjoy this episode? Visit our website at summitcpa.net to get more tips and strategies for achieving modern CPA firm success. We're here to be a resource in this ever-changing industry.